Welcome back to Soccer Cards United. You're listening to episode 297 of the greatest soccer card podcast in the world. My name is Jason. That's Enzo. Hello, Enzo. What is on the show today?
Hello, Jason. Today, we are going to be focusing on Whatnot in Legal Trouble, new releases from Topps, and Lamine Yamal's rookie controversy featuring us.
Oh, we're in a bit of hot water like Whatnot. Let's get on with the show. All right, Enzo, we'll start with a release day. It's currently the 18th of March at the time of recording. Hopefully people are listening to this. Belated Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Hope you thought of us while you had a pint of Guinness or something similar.
Yes.
Anyway, out with the Irish and in with the Germans, because it is Topps Chrome Bundesliga 25-26 release day. The hobby boxes appear to have sold out quickly on Topps Drop, although who knows about that? So yeah, Enzo, I know you were telling us that a lot of people have been asking you in your role at Atlantic Collectibles, have you got, when are you getting your Bundesliga in? Have you got all Bundesliga for me? Can I have all your Bundesliga? You don't need to sell your Bundesliga to anybody else. I'll take it. What's going on with this Bundesliga mania that we're facing out there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I think the hobby is so hot right now that people are happy with everything and anything. I do think the quality of product has increased tremendously. We've seen that with the Premier League products recently. And yeah, Bundesliga mania. I don't think it's the 2 autographs per box that has people in a fudge. I don't think it's any of the big rookies, despite the fact that there are big rookies. I don't think it's Harry Kane, Joe Bellingham. I don't know what it is, but the Bundesliga mania is here. I've been getting messages. Jason, we're going to be in the Atlantic Collectibles shop tomorrow. I can tell you already, I've had about 6 people, Irish locals, saying, do you have Bundesliga? Which is, that never happened before in my 6 years of having boxes to sell.
Yeah. It's quite extraordinary. Are we seeing perhaps the effect already of maybe the NBA or something like that having a Chrome? Is Topps Chrome now between the Premier League and the NBA, and is that just like the hot property? People are now coming into the hobby, and to them Topps Chrome is it? Is Bundesliga getting a bit of reflected glory, or is it just like people think the Bundesliga is where you can make a play? Let's not forget that this box came out at £90 sterling. So this is a Chrome box for £100, with 2 autographs and rookie chases and legend chases and all that stuff. When you compare that to Premier League for £300, that's maybe.
Yeah, I suppose like they've added a lot more depth to how they put together the checklists, have chases, helixes, legend autos, double autos, all that sort of stuff, and then adding 2 autos. And ultimately, I do think you do all of that, which is fantastic. And then I think the price is what has ultimately made it what it is. It's £90. You don't really get value, even if it is Bundesliga. You don't really get value like that across any other sport. Certainly not in a chromium SKU.
I agree. Yeah. And there's a Michael Olise, Leonard Carl, dual autograph on screen. Yeah, so there are chases.
Rookies. Yeah, there's chases and there's rookies in here.
There are legends. There are triple autos. There are double autos. There's an Rizzo Doan animation. Is that right? Anime. What's animation? That's a Panini thing.
That's a Panini thing. That looks very similar. Yes.
Right. Okay. We'll edit that part out. Yeah. So Said Almada there for FC Köln is kind of the guy that was fronting the Topps publicity stuff. He was in the teasers and the videos and such like that. I am told, and when I say I'm told, I mean I read, that he is apparently going to Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League this summer for 35 million euros. Apparently,
catch him at Chelsea in a few years.
Yeah, so that basically means there's put a 3x on him, and in 18 months, we'll see him with a 9-year contract. Yeah, somewhere like Chelsea or somewhere like that. So yeah, there are chases. There are there are superfractors and inserts and things. Yeah, like it's exciting. So that's been well received apparently, by everyone. And who are Topps calling out? They're calling out Leonard Carl. They're calling out Luka Vuskovic for Hamburg, who is a Tottenham player, so could light up the championship next season. Jan Diomande, who starred at AFCON, and Said Almada. We have Frozen Fractors, Super Fractors.
You'd be happy to hear Wild Jungle returns, Jason.
I love Wild Jungle. I can't get enough of it. And I fully understand what it is and why they put it in. Of course, it's a great insert. So, yeah, dual and triple autographs. It's quite exciting if you're into that sort of thing. So we're a long way from us needing to sit on this podcast and defend the Bundesliga in any sense. The Bundesliga is doing fine. That's the truth. It doesn't.
That's the truth. We had a clip kind of go semi hobby viral amongst the German community when we talked about how hot the Bundesliga was. And sure enough, were we not vindicated, Jason, in that regard? We're not always right, but sometimes we're on the money.
Right. No, yeah,
that's right.
Can't wait to get the comments, by the way, about me mixing up those two case hits. I'll address that in 10 months on a podcast, I'm sure.
That's it.
Also, Topps this week are releasing a hotly anticipated product. Topps Liverpool Focus. The Focus brand is back. And here we go. A premium, if anyone's wondering what is Focus, I'll tell you what it is. It's a premium trading card collection that captures unique behind-the-scenes imagery of Liverpool Football Club, their current stars, and past icons. So, yeah, we have the latest edition of Focus brand with Topps in true Stadium Club style. Stadium Club getting a call out. These beautifully designed cards feature players in off-the-pitch moments with photography theme across the subset, bringing the set to life. With each pack, collectors can uncover rare inserts, autographs, and cut signatures, making every pull a potential game changer in your collection.
Jason, you can't cut Stadium Club from the soccer release calendar and then refer to it like it's the hottest. Like you love it.
I know it's
or at least acknowledging that everyone else loves it.
Yes.
Can you up there just that Salah? That is a new design version of Marks of Excellence. That's interesting.
Yes, it is indeed. Let me see if I can get that in full screen. There we go. So there's your Marks of Excellence. There are Salah autographs in this one. Yeah, two different designs. What's going on there, I wonder? Just different. Okay, anyway. Let's have a look quickly at who is signing in this, because Liverpool fans have been very we sell a lot of Liverpool Chrome from 23-24 and Atlantic Collectibles, and the big weakness for that set is the couple of notable exceptions. But now that Mo Salah is signing, it's very exciting. You have Mo Salah Marks of Excellence. You have Florian Wirtz autographs for Liverpool. You have Ngamoa, Gerrard, Mane, Sadio Mane Liverpool autographs, which are not at all a common thing. Fernando Torres, Ian Rush, Alexander Isak, Virgil van Dijk, Fernando Torres, dual autos, Coutinho, Firmino, dual auto, Luis Suarez, Daniel Sturridge, dual autograph, Mane and Salah. So this is like a real, if you're a Liverpool fan,
this is legit.
This is a legit, like, I'm looking here.
I don't love the Focus brand. Yeah. But I think if your club gets one, you do be into it. But I don't love it. I don't love it, but it sells well, I would say.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, I mean, this is very much in line with what we've seen in Premier League Chrome. Like, this is like a proper, like, Liverpool set. I feel this is really, really the checklist here and the autographs they've gone, you know, Jersey Dudek and
Johnny Barnes.
Yeah, John Barnes, John Arnorisa, Stan Collymore. Like, this is a real. I'm looking forward to this one, even though I'm not a Liverpool fan. It's actually not relevant to the show which team I support, and I don't want to hear anyone's conspiracy theories about.
Well, I'll say nothing
about that. So that's on Friday. So I would say between Bundesliga Chrome today and Liverpool Focus on Friday, Topps are having a pretty good week.
Good solid releases for subsections of the soccer collecting fan base, I would say.
Absolutely. Now, this is a product that we're going to talk about next, because we saw some first details about World Cup Prizm, and we talked a lot about the road to the World Cup products that are coming out in last week's episode. Now let's talk about World Cup Prizm. We have some images here. There's Alphonso Davies on a National Pride insert for Canada. Collectors, one autograph per box. Your standard enough for Prizm. There's your base design. Nice. How you liking it?
Nice. I think we got our hands on some of the Monopoly Prizm, Jason. I thought that design was beautiful. It was very similar though to the previous Prizm design, so I'm happy enough to see a brand new one kind of for the World Cup proper. But that design was fantastic. This looks good as well.
Yeah, I think we talked about the road to the World Cup logo on the cards being kind of underwhelming. I do think this 2026 World Cup logo is not a good logo.
No, I think we'll all warm to it, but it's not the best.
Yeah, there's almost nothing to warm to, I would say.
Okay.
There's no visual identity of any. It's kind of, not a big fan of that.
Considering there's 3 different countries. There's 3 different countries kind of celebrating it. It could have been very, very memorable and colourful.
It could at least involve the colours of those countries or something. So Panini have actually done a better job than the World Cup themselves, as we will see. Among the numbered concepts that are offering to pay tribute to the host nations of the USA, Canada, and Mexico are Old Glory, which red, white, and blue. That's the name of the nickname of the flag of America. Maple Leaf, the emblem of Canada, and Aguila, which is Spanish for eagle.
Yeah, the eagle on the yellow flag.
So on the Mexican flag. So the highest number is 299. We got 299, 199, and then we're into Old Glory to 94. Of course, USA 1994, the World Cup. Maple Leaf 86. I believe 1986 is the first World Cup Canada qualified for, and Aguila Mexico 1970. A particularly important World Cup in the history of collecting.
That's true. Panini logo as well to 61, Jason. That's going to look nice, I would imagine.
Is that the founding year of? Is that when they started making?
I'm not sure. It probably is. It's definitely in and around that time, but just a Panini kind of logo factor style, and a cracked ice to 23 there, which should not be overlooked, Jason, because we know we love the of 23 cracked ice. That's I think it's nice. The multicolored 26 is interesting.
Yeah, I imagine this list of parallels will widen out, and these will not be the. It's not this short print, the product, Whereas
I was about to say this looks very short print, Jason. Yeah,
but the various retail configurations and choice and whatever else we'll have a longer list. But anyway, in the meantime, we have autographs from the likes of Erling Haaland, Florian Wirtz, Alphonso Davies, and Diego Maradona and Pele autographs confirmed.
Oh wow!
Which is crazy when you think about it. But fair play to Panini for keeping their powder dry on that one. There's a quad auto for Spain via Iniesta, Piqué, and Busquets. And there's Pele. Crazy. The throwback design is a 2012 Prizm.
Very nice.
Yeah. So there you go. White color blast.
That looks unbelievable. Look at that though. Alter egos, which have been super, super popular in the American sports, which are recent but have had some amazing sales. The Color Blast Jewels, Mangas, National Landmarks, National Pride, and Prismania. That's pretty solid. When you talk about Alter Ego, Color Blast, National Landmarks, and Manga, that's kind of the headliners there. That's it's very solid. I'm excited for World Cup Prizm. It's kind of an absolute blockbuster of a soccer set. Like I don't think we fully even appreciate. That's an unbelievable Messi image, by the way.
Yes. So we're looking forward. This may be a controversial take, but we're looking forward to World Cup Prizm.
Especially if Ireland can sneak their way in.
I have no faith in that happening.
What are we 8 days away from the big game?
Yeah. And I don't want to be blamed for a product delay. If Ireland end up there and it's like, we have to wait for the playoff teams, and now it's October and World Cup Prizm is just coming out. But anyway, let's take a quick break and come back to talk about Whatnot and their legal troubles. Here's a headline in The Athletic. Customers accuse Whatnot of illegal gambling operation over sports card breaks and repacks. So I'm sure a lot of people will have seen this, read about this, heard about this. But just very, very briefly, I'll read what Larry Holder here has written in The Athletic. Whatnot, one of the sports card industry's largest online sales platform, is being accused of conducting an unlawful gambling scheme and violating the RICO Act by allowing sellers to hold randomized box breaks and randomized repack breaks on its platform. Paul Lesko, many, many times quoted on this show, a St. Louis-based attorney known for his sports card legal commentary on social media, said he's filed 15 arbitration demands and represents 30 clients with claims against Whatnot. The arbitration demands claim randomized box breaks violate California's ban on illegal lotteries. Whatnot was incorporated in Delaware, but its headquarters is in California. While randomized repack breaks constitute illegal sports trading card grab bag lotteries. So let's see. Whatnot represents that it operates a marketplace where live shopping helps connect buyers and sellers. This is a false front, the cases claim. Functionally, these are all quotes, functionally, Whatnot operates an unregulated online casino where it exploits its customer base by encouraging compulsive spending and in the process generates billions in revenue without providing the safeguards required of regulated gambling operations. Whatnot said, we absolutely reject the characterization of this complaint. Gambling isn't allowed on Whatnot, and we strictly enforce this policy. Card breaks are a long-standing format in collecting at card shops, conventions, and in communities that have thrived for generations. And while sellers who break make up only 4% of the sellers on our platform, we've taken care to bring that experience online in a way that holds everyone accountable. Whatnot shows happen live and on camera. Sellers face real consequences when they break rules. We set the standard for how these formats work online, and we're committed to maintaining it. Enzo, how are you reacting to this?
Yeah, I don't think it's not that surprising. I think it makes sense. I do think anytime you try, in my opinion, or my experience, trying to describe breaking to people, particularly opening the Whatnot app to show them what breaking is, their response, and these are kind of lay people that are not in the hobby, their response tends to be like, this is kind of like gambling. There is, you can't really run away from the fact that a lot of it does if it looks like gambling, it feels like gambling, it might be gambling to some degree. I've done a bit of research on the kind of what this kind of case is, and fundamentally, I think the desired outcomes are compensation for some of the people that are part of the case, and ultimately the introduction to various controls that a gambling app would have. Now, I'm pretty sure Whatnot does have spending limit controls. I think it's a relatively recent feature, but I'm pretty sure that does exist. I've seen a lot of people say it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it does. Pretty sure I've opened. I think I remember saying it to you, and I remember being like, "This feels like a gambling app," because they had spending limits. So I'm going to open the app in real time.
Well, I would say as well, one thing to mention, which is important, I think when we talk about this, is that Whatnot applies for their various legal statuses in every jurisdiction. So there's a chance that they are required to do that by some jurisdictions and not others. Like in America, could be a completely different experience. And then what the UK said, if you're going to open here, you have to have spending limits or whatever it may be. I know they're probably a bit more scared of regulation in Europe, so they may have gone ahead with some voluntary stuff that they didn't feel the need to do in America. Just to say, I'm looking at Sports Collectors Daily, and as you say, under the filings, seek repayment of losses, treble damages, attorney's fees, court orders stopping the alleged practices, and a declaration that breaks are unlawful.
That's a big.
So it's not just compensation. They're looking to get this stuff declared illegal in California, which I imagine the idea being that it will start a domino effect of similar cases in other states. At the heart of the complaint is the claim that certain types of breaks on Whatnot meet the legal definition of gambling. Claims of fraud and lack of oversight. The RICO Act, by the way, element of it, beyond gambling allegations, the complaints claim violation of consumer protection laws, unjust enrichment, misrepresentation, i.e. calling the platform a marketplace, and potential violations of the federal RICO statute for operating an unlawful enterprise. And the complaint also argues the platform encourages compulsive spending through fast-paced actions, social pressure, and live stream chats, and the hit-chasing dynamic similar to casino gambling. Enzo, I should say, we should stop probably and mention the fact that we own and operate Atlantic Collectibles, which sells on Whatnot UK.
This is correct.
And to me, the idea that it wouldn't be gambling is absurd. It's quite obviously, I've gambled in my time. I've bought into breaks. The sensation is basically the same.
Feels the same. I'd agree with that. I think they particularly took aim at random team breaks. And they also took a big swing at repacks, because apparently some of the repacks that were being done, Jason, is like it's kind of like the seller knew kind of what's in it, if that makes sense. And as a result, they were able to give unfair tips, even in the most basic thing of if you're doing a repack and you land on Argentina and someone's potentially going to swap out of it, you kind of going, I wouldn't do that now, I wouldn't do that, and that's you trying to just help your buyer, but ultimately it leads to an unfair kind of playing field or whatever. Yeah. But I'd agree with that. Like I think. The biggest issue I think I have with Whatnot is there doesn't seem to be any age limit verification. And because as a hobby shop owner, we have had definitely on a couple of occasions parents coming in with a very young child and be like, he loves watching your Whatnot and he's always buying in, and it's like, excuse me, excuse me, what? So, I definitely think it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Whether in terms of specific California law or, I'm sure there's various, you would imagine they have taken as many steps as they possibly could to verify what they're doing wasn't kind of gambling, if you know what I mean, in terms of whatnot. They're multi-billion-dollar. They have so many rounds of funding. That's not to say it's impossible. I just would imagine they have various loopholes or, understandings of various state laws to try and kind of cover themselves. Not to say that means that'll cover them. I don't think it necessarily will. But I think regardless of kind of the outcome, I would imagine more regulation, or at the very least, more self-regulation should come into it, which should just make the whole thing a much nicer experience.
Yeah, I mean, like, it seems like, because we would have talked about back in the day, we would have talked about sports cards in general and breaking specifically occupying a similar position in collecting communities in the US as we would have traditionally had just sports betting in Ireland and in the UK, and it being very normal. Since, like, over the time we've been doing this podcast, like, sports gambling has been legalized in almost every state in America and is now a massive, industry with all sorts of like very predatory practices going on, which are perfectly legal because they are all regulated. So it seems strange almost to be having this. I understand from a Whatnot point of view, from a Fanatics Live point of view, from whoever, if you're running an online breaking platform, you are like, well, we can't. It will be a significant barrier to growth if we have to regulate this, and we have to do all sorts of like safeguards, and we have to, caveat every ad we ever put out and all that kind of stuff. But like, it doesn't necessarily seem to have stopped the sports books from, infiltrating almost every live sporting event, and every anything to do with sports is now filled with bookies selling you on gambling. So I think what it would probably do, and maybe what one are afraid of, is not so much that it's unworkable, but it is definitely a limited growth, because it puts you in that category, and now you're directly competing with the bookies, as opposed to presenting yourself as an alternative or as a completely unrelated thing.
Do you think that, like, the same way maybe a DraftKings or something, which is kind of a twist on gambling, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, they were doing fantasy, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that if law came down and said breaking is gambling, and then companies basically got their licenses, followed laws, and then had to promote it in a different way, do you think that could actually potentially promote it into a bigger thing? Because it's almost like at the minute you're almost in the shadows promoting it, being like, join this app and do this. If Whatnot saying that the breaks represent 4% of their revenue seems completely absurd. Now, it could be true, because I know that they do clothes, they do all sorts.
Yeah.
But like, anytime I open the app, it's
well, I think they said that 4% of their sellers are breakers.
But that doesn't seem right.
No, I don't. It doesn't seem right to me either.
I don't believe that. But that's what I would say if I was being sued for that part of my.
Like, kind of like when I was saying there, like that there is, in my mind, there is a very clear association between gambling and breaking. Like, that to me, I'm not saying that as a negative thing. Like, what I'm saying is, like, it seems to me like what we need is clarity, and what we need is like honesty and transparency. And it's almost like, as you said there, like, this thing of, we need to grow this category of selling, breaking, but we need to do it in such a way that nobody notices what we're doing. That's not very helpful, really. Like, and it may be easier for the industry, it may be easier for everybody, certainly would be safer for everybody, both in like someone not spending all their life savings on breaks, but also from an investment point of view, it'll be safer for everybody if we got some clarity on this, if we got some transparency. And then it's like, right, now that we all know, now that all the chips are on the table, to use the gambling analogy, let's go in this direction, now that we all know where we stand. At the moment, they're kind of, you don't want to rock the boat and cause an inquiry. Just to say, over on Sports Collectors Daily, Jeff Morris has been doing some really good reporting on this story, so shout out to Jeff. Obviously, we'd usually look for Paul Lesko's comments, but all his comments are quotes, because he's the representative for the plaintiff. So Jeff Morris here on Sports Collectors Daily just has a couple of paragraphs which are interesting. What happens if the case succeeds? If Lesko's arguments are upheld, the implications could extend well beyond Whatnot. The case could force platforms to rethink how these breaks are structured, particularly those around randomness, transparency, and user protections. The focus of what we've done is we want institutional changes, Lesko says. Make sure there's consumer protection, spending limits, the ability to self-ban, better controls over repacks and addiction support. And this raises a broader question. What happens if randomized breaking is treated more like gambling than retail? That's exactly what we've just been talking about. Potential outcomes could include stricter platform controls, additional user protections, and changes to how breaks are conducted or marketed. At the same time, PYT breaks, pick your team breaks, would probably remain unaffected, because that's just that's literally just a group break.
Buying your stuff,
which is not really what's, from a Whatnot point of view, from a breaker point of view, that's not really what's like driving the growth. Because, you know, I mean, Enzo, I'd say you probably use Burnley in the Premier League as an example.
That's the truth. If Burnley, but that's it. Like random. I honestly, I've had things where I do, you know, pick your team starting at £1. So if you're a Burnley collector, you're getting it for on the cheap, and then the Liverpool spot and the United spot goes really high. But when I'm live, sometimes people are like begging me to do buy now random teams instead, because ultimately they're like, first of all, they want the buzz, but mostly it's kind of like because they might get United for half the price that it sells for on a £1 auction. So they're almost like, give me a chance, you know, a bit of a raffle.
Give me a gamble. I want to gamble.
Yeah, give me a gamble. I was Jason. We've had multiple people like, again, as you said, like, I think if you had to put me in a room and just make a decision, would I consider what I witness on Whatnot to be gambling enough to a point where it should be regulated? My answer is yes, all day, every day. Yeah. And we've had multiple people message us kind of privately that would buy into our streams, message us privately and say, hey guys, I'm not going to be buying for the next few months. I deleted the app off my phone. Like, I've heard that so many times. Because ultimately, especially in app format, right? It's so easy to spend money. Even like if we had a website and we were selling break spots there, that kind of, as you said, that impulse, that FOMO isn't there. Yeah. The ability to click a button and money leaving your bank account
and
live on air, it's frictionless. Yeah, which is, you know, you can. Yeah, I like the idea of that getting kind of regulated, because ultimately, or just safeguards being put in place, because ultimately you kind of want, because like the same thing with, there's gambling apps that make a fortune of specific gamblers. But it's like, it's kind of that thing of like, everyone knows what they're signing up for to a degree. Whereas I do think
or should at least, or, you know, or like, yeah.
But I do think people can kind of wander onto Whatnot. They like cards, and then suddenly they find themselves empty in the bank account.
Yeah. Because there is also obviously like there's I remember, Enzo, many years ago, you and I were at one of our first, what you might call, industry dinners. We were at dinner, and there was a couple of gentlemen who were buying into breaks live, kind of high end breaks live. I think it was probably on Whatnot at that time. It was probably just what they were. It was Whatnot, yeah. It was Whatnot, but it was kind of early Whatnot, and it was like completely, because it was cards. There was not that there was no taboo against it. It was rude for sure, but like it was a big group dinner and whatever. But like it would have been a different vibe, I think, if they had actually just been sitting there gambling, you know, or like if they were just sitting there playing blackjack on their phone, or they were like, they had like the racing from Singapore on and they're putting bets on, that wouldn't have been seen as socially acceptable. So there is that thing of what I think Whatnot are trying to avoid, and to a certain extent, like, you know, it affects everybody that works in the industry, everybody that does breaks. Like I think people socially, you want to avoid that taboo for as long as possible, because if you say to somebody, I run a casino, you know, you're going to expect some pushback on that from some people some of the time. Whereas if you say, I do card breaks, well, you don't really want to be thought of as a blackjack dealer. Not there's anything wrong with being a blackjack dealer, but I'm just, you know, it is kind of, there's a social and cultural thing there as well. Just to while sellers only make up 4% of the, while sellers who break only make up 4% of the sellers on the platform, that's kind of one of those things where, like, if you're counting everyone who's ever made an account and doesn't use it anymore, and
100%, there's some weirdness going on there. That's like almost a concern. That, you know, it's like, but
the arbitration factor. So this is, people may have noticed it. This is not a trial; it's an arbitration. Unlike traditional lawsuits, Jeff Morris can tell us about this. Unlike traditional lawsuits, the case will not initially play out in public court because of Whatnot terms of services. The case are being filed through a private arbitration, a process that limits transparency and precedent. So that actually goes to what I was saying earlier, which is like, it's not like a judge in California can hand down a ruling and then that can be quoted in courtrooms, you know, across America. When you agree to terms of service, the consumer gives up the right to go to court.
Sounds like you're hiding something.
Everything that happens in arbitration is secret, which again is tough, because not only is Paul Lesko not around to report, what he's doing in the arbitration will be completely a secret. That creates an additional challenge. The only way to make them change their behavior is to get enough wins, hit them in the pocketbook, and then they change, Lesko said. Oof.
That's tough.
Yeah, according to Lesko, complicating matters further is the fact that Whatnot recently updated its arbitration agreement, introducing a cost-sharing model that could make it more expensive for consumers to pursue claims. They are now suggesting that the fees will be split, Lesko says. It does not take long to make sure that the $50,000 you're seeking disappears on arbitrator fees. The update includes a limited opt-out window after which users may be locked into the new terms. So it sounds like maybe Whatnot were vaguely aware of
What was
maybe
going
not
on?
maybe not vaguely, but they were definitely aware. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one because it seems like a classic case of a company trying to avoid being regulated, not
And
because
me, because it's impossible, because it's a bit of an inconvenience to grow. And
100%.
in fairness, like, you could argue, regardless of the kind of outcome of this, you could argue, because ultimately the outcome can't. I don't think the outcome can be any more than signing a few giant checks and implementing regulation.
Well, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so one could argue that Whatnot, obviously the biggest platform doing it, obviously being competed with Fanatics Live and eBay Live and TikTok Shop, as well as the kind of three big conglomerate and huge kind of billion-dollar companies coming for their necks.
Yeah.
You would imagine that, if you're sitting in a room, Jason, if you're part of the Whatnot board of directors, you might be sitting in a room going, "This is an absolute disaster," but it's not unexpected, and we ultimately you may look at it, Jason, from a strictly business point of view. You may say, "Do you know what? We made the right decision, because if we went down the regulation path, we would have lost the market share. So do you know what? Sign off a big check, hand over the money, and keep pushing forward." That could be the thing. But ultimately, it does feel that thing of like the hobby's gone mainstream. Breaks have become so popular. I didn't love, like, in Whatnot's thing being like, breaks happen in communities and hobby. This is normal. This is fine. Like, that's kind of like, just because it happens in your local mom and pop store doesn't mean it's not gambling. But
well, exactly. Yeah.
I do want to say, like, part of becoming kind of super mainstream is going to be potentially regulation and just rule changes, even if it's not like regulation,
Exactly.
but it's like, you can't, in Ireland, that we can't smoke in pubs anymore, etc., etc. And that was obviously at the time seen as a big disruptor. But it is that thing of like, you're going mainstream, you have to be professional, you have to follow. It's kind of a good thing. Like, if we were never ever regulated, it's like we've never really smashed through a glass ceiling to kind of be as mainstream enough to get kind of governmental regulation implemented.
I agree. I don't think it's I don't think it's that bad. I think it's painful for the Whatnot bottom line, and not just Whatnot, but every company that attempts to do this. And like you said, I suppose, like, the kind of the similarity would be like the gambling industry was severely limited by how much you could grow when it was a physical thing. When you had to, either in America, you had to be in Vegas, or you had to be in Atlantic City, or even here, like, where you would have, like, you had to go to a physical location, and you had to, be in there. It's a completely different situation to, it's on your phone and you can do it instantly at any time, anywhere you want. So we'll report on that. Not that there's necessarily going to be much to report on, because it's an arbitration process and it's done completely in secret. But after all the dust has settled, we'll be returning to this story. In the meantime, we're in a bit of hot water of our own, Enzo. So let's take a break and come back to discuss it. Okay, Enzo, we are back. We're here on Card Ladder to talk about this card, the 2023 Mega Cracks La Liga EA Sports Lamine Yamal 108 bis PSA 10. The last sold price on one of these bad boys, according to Card Ladder, is €10,439.99. And Card Ladder value has it above that. The pop is 253, and we first discussed this card last year on June 4th. June 4th, 2025, on episode 281, I believe, of Soccer Cards United. This is episode 297.
You told me you did 18 podcasts at that time.
Yeah. We were supposed to talk about it on episode 296.
That was you, by the way.
I forgot, because I don't really care that much and I had a lot going on. And we got taken to task over forgetting to address it, because we are cowards and we are running from this conversation, Enzo.
That's right.
About, by the way, just to say, I'm not going to mention anyone by name who was commenting, but if anyone ever insults us in a comment, again, their stuff is not getting addressed on the show. I'm making a complete exception here. We shouldn't even be talking about this, because if you're going to be rude, if you're going to sling mud and call names, you're not going to get addressed. But this is a one-time exception, because I want to talk about this card, and I had already told someone I would. So here we go. And so we said last year that this card, which at the time I think was going for $8,000 or so,
thereabouts,
and had a 200 or so pop in a PSA 10. We predicted that it was not a particularly good investment as a Lamine Yamal card. It was not necessarily his grail card, and that the pop would probably increase massively. I think we were quoted as saying it could be 2,000 by the end of the year. And now, just to say, right around that time, there was a trade war between the EU, where most of these cards are, and the US, where PSA is. So you couldn't submit internationally to PSA. I suppose, for the purposes of this conversation, the people who are criticizing us don't want to really know or hear about that or even think about that.
Don't want to
hear it. But do you have anything you'd like to say about this card?
The numbers are fascinating. The price of it is still, in my opinion, insane.
Yeah.
The market's nuts on it. I'm not gonna. We never really do investment advice, quote unquote, on the podcast, but I would still stand in staying away from this card personally. Don't take this as a global market advice. It's one of those things. Like it's there's a romantic element to the idea of a Mega Cracks rookie getting the respect it, quote unquote, deserves. I'm not against it. I don't hate it. I love the idea of it. But it kind of just goes against most of what we've seen across the board in the market. Like, if Lamine Yamal didn't have premium sets from Topps and Panini in the exact same year, around the exact same time as this card, then I would be all about it. If this was a year earlier, etc. I'd be all about it. But yeah, obviously the Lionel Messi Mega Cracks, again, his Mega Cracks went crazy because it was his rookie card, and caveat, and there was no premium cards at that point in time, and it was his only card, apart from like
Enzo, defend. Yeah,
I'm talking shit. No, but I don't know. I looked at a select Lamine Yamal rookie that had a base Lamine Yamal rookie that had a population of 174 and was worth about $100.
Yeah,
for me, there's no real reason why the Mega Crack should be $10K. However, the market is right, Jason. The market is the market. I do like the idea of Mega Cracks being, because people even like it's his first card, etc., etc. It's like that kind of went out the window a long time ago. We've seen him at Esteval, we've seen him at almost any other card. But I do like the idea of a player kind of as big as Yamal having exceptions, making exceptions, and that's clearly what's happening here. I still personally wouldn't be into it. I do think it's a lovely looking card. I do think the gem rate is around 23%, so it's not that big.
Yep.
Mega Cracks famously, paper cards from Panini in Spain. I don't know. I would love to see kind of numbers on the likes of like a Pedri or a Gavi Mega Crack rookie, and see if it has an absolute premium compared to their selects and their FIFA, their Prizms and their Topps Chromes, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, ultimately for me, I wouldn't rate it. But people are clearly rating it, and as you said, there has, whether or not there's loads sitting in PSA or whether or not loads just have not been able to be submitted because of the tariffs. Like, we submit with PSA all the time. We've not been able to do it in a very, very, very long time. But I don't necessarily think it would hit 2,000 now. Based on, I could see it. I could see it get to 400, 500. But even then, I don't know, Jason.
Would you like to hear what some people told us about a year ago? This is 7 months and 9 months ago. These
hit me with it.
Okay, so about the Mega Crack situation, this is what somebody said 9 months ago.
Situation.
Actually, it is adrenaline, not Mega Cracks.
What's that?
Like it's an Adrenaline XL card, but it isn't. It's a Mega Cracks card.
It's a Mega Cracks, yeah. Definitely.
Not Mega Cracks, the product you can find almost everywhere, but it is.
It is. Or is he saying it's like a version of Mega Cracks?
I think it's like it could be like a Panini, but I mean, if you go to the old pop report there on PSA, it says 23-24 Panini Mega Cracks EA Sports.
Yeah, that's definitely Mega Cracks. Yeah.
The reason it's getting attention, I don't want to get.
Not everyone's right. We continue. Like I said.
Print run is quite short. And card preservation is not a top thing for regular Adrenaline and Mega Cracks collectors. We talked about that, so I wouldn't expect that many PSA 10s. Yes, I definitely think that $8,000 PSA 10s are not going to be very unusual, but the ROI is still high because there are many casual collectors who do not know about PSA or won't be bothered to sell abroad. Thank you for another top episode. So that was a constructive. Just to say, it was $8,000 when we did an episode 9 months ago. It's about $10,000 to $12,000 now.
That's great.
And the population has not really,
gone up that much at all.
Yeah, so that's what, like a 25% return on it in 9 months. So I actually don't think we were way off, by the way, to say it's not a great investment at $8,000.
Come on, no, I disagree with that. 25%, that's unbelievable. It's done very well.
I want to say that it's not like it hasn't 3x or 4x in value.
Okay,
which other cards of other players have over the.
Yeah.
What? You could have put 8,000. You could have put 8,000 into Esteval last year, 9 months ago, and you'd be more up than 25%.
Okay, yeah, but still, I disagree. I disagree with. I think you're just angry at the moment.
No, what I'm saying is, it's not as if. Okay, I'm not even putting this podcast out. By the way, this has never seen the light.
Oh my god.
3 months after this, the 108. So this is 7 months ago. 108 bits. Pop report has grown by 20 cards versus the 1,000 you predicted. With the price holding steady at $6,000. So there's a few different populations and prices going around here.
Okay.
Why is this the holy grail, according to this commenter? It's the true rookie. First card ever in an official Spanish license set like Messi's. I suppose I would say, as you said, Enzo, that I wish that was, and I think at the time, by the way, I said, I understand that it's like Messi's, and I think that's where a lot of the value is going.
Definitely.
But, okay. Low print run. Mega Cracks 3rd edition October release is short printed, with product only in retail stores from August to December and overshadowed by the Adrenaline release in January, and a low gem rate around 20%. So there are lots of reasons why this card is a good Lamine Yamal card, and it has gone up and it may continue to go up.
I just don't understand it. That's my biggest problem at the minute. Like, I understand, like, obviously we've been doing a podcast many a year. I understand Mega Cracks. Fully understand. Complete. Like, I remember going to card shows across the world with Spanish friends trying to sell us on Pedri Mega Crack rookies and boxes that had them in it, and etc. etc. We've seen the prices of Ansu Fati Mega Cracks back in the day. Obviously, like, his career is what kind of shot that down. But, like, ultimately, it's like, right, there's a 20% gem rate, roughly. There's a population of 250. Why would that be worth more than, say, a Yamal card numbered to 99 or something? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I get that it's first, like, again, from the romantic point of view, I love the idea of Mega Cracks getting the respect it deserves and quote unquote. And kind of like in a Jordan Fleer kind of vibe, it's like, yeah, it's one card, it's based, there's no parallels, but it's iconic for whatever reason. And in fairness, sometimes a specific card gets latched onto as a rookie card, and it's kind of, there's no fixing it, whether it's even first year or not first year.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Mega Cracks, it's just not for me. That's okay. That's what I won't buy it. I think it's mental that it's 10 grand. Now, being Abyss kind of helps it, because that means like the general release of it should be a lot smaller. Because
exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's
very similar. Yeah, similar to Leo Messi's Abyss. But the only difference is Messi didn't have prisms and selects, etc., etc. Now, in fairness, his chromes are like 50 grand in some cases, or 10 grand or whatever. So I don't know.
Can I just say something as well?
Talk to me.
Look, this is based on card ladder data, which I realize people are going to probably say
there's holes in it, yeah.
But right, I'm looking at the Lamine Yamal 6 month trends, right? So Lamine Yamal, as a player, his player index over the last 6 months is up 70%, right?
Okay, 70%.
The rate of growth of this card's up 40%. So I want to just go back and defend myself and say this card has not properly tracked the Lamine Yamal market, therefore it was not a particularly good investment compared to other Lamine Yamal cards. You could have put 8 grand into a lower numbered Lamine Yamal card and it would have gone up more. I don't really. This seems like we're making a mountain out of a molehill here, really.
Sorry, it's all right. No, I get it. In fairness, like, I do think if you can source them raw from Spain, which historically has been easy enough 100%. To do, then there's a huge play to be made because of how big of a trouble. I think even that was another thing I was going to say. I think the PSA 9s of this card, because Mega Cracks is so hard to grade, PSA 9s are performing the way you'd kind of like PSA 9s across all of the industry to perform, which is higher than raw. Yeah, less than PSA 10, obviously, but higher than raw. But yeah,
the PSA 9s are doing like 1,200 to 1,500 euros.
Insane. There's no base card in the world of any rookie card at the moment, for the most part, apart from kind of old school, Fleer Jordans, etc. Modern. There's no modern cards that track that.
Yeah.
At a PSA 9, you get a Cooper Flag Topps Chrome PSA 9. It's not doing.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just weird, but I'm into it. It's there's obviously like a huge concentration, and judging by how personally offended a lot of people were, there's a huge concentration of people sitting on these, and therefore, even if the pop is 250, there's not a lot of transactions happening with that pop, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But yeah, look, I'd say best of luck to everyone that has one.
Absolutely.
I really want Yamal's market to stay hot, because I want him as a player to stay hot. That way, he as a player and his performance in the hobby can be a constant, so we can really look at the traction. Because it's not like Yamal breaks his leg and Mega Cracks falls down the drain. Like no one's right. You know what I mean? That's not. I would love him to continue having the hobby, the real career, subsequent hobby career that he's having, so we can keep a close eye on Mega Cracks.
Yeah. So look, I just want to say to everybody out there, like, it's not
Relax.
like it's okay. It's not that this is not a bad card. There's definitely money to be made with this card. It's a very good. It has performed well as an asset, and there are certainly plays to be made from raw to grading and all that kind of stuff.
And it's definitely an outlier across the board in the hobby. Which, in fairness, players like Yamal, Messi, Cooper Flag, Haaland back in the day, etc., like his foosball sticker, etc. Players that are at the top do create exceptions, but
they do, and they do strange things, and they are laws unto themselves, and it's so we will revisit Lamine Yamal as we do basically every week on the podcast, and we will keep an eye on this card.
We'll do it in our own time.
Do it in our own time. And in general, this has been one of the rare occasions that we've faced. We've pissed a real group of people off.
Can I say, now in fairness, this doesn't really help me too much. I made the comments back in June. I missed the discourse of you telling people you'd address it last episode.
Okay, there was no discourse of me telling people.
It was huge. You said, I'm going to settle this. You want to say, I want to settle this on 296. And do you know what? I never seen that. I was chilling.
Yeah.
And then we put out 296, and then I see comments attacking us for not saying it. I said, why would we randomly talk about something? This is what I felt initially. So why would we randomly talk about something on this random episode from me? What? And then I realized that you, Jason, were hiding from it. Because you made those promises to the people.
And when I saw that episode, that comment on episode 296, I thought, oh shit, I forgot to talk about the Lamine Yamal thing. I didn't realize it was going to be a massive issue, because the card's gone up anyway. So largely it's not relevant what we think. But thank you very much for the compliment that we could somehow change your 40% return in 6 months.
60% return.
It seems like it did great. Seems like maybe we don't have that big an effect on the market. So anyway, look, best of luck to everybody going forward. That'll be the last time that we address anyone who directly insults us.
Wow.
So yeah, great. And any other business?
No, but just I'm saying that we're recording this during Barcelona's game against Newcastle, and Anthony Elanga has got a brace, and Yamal has not scored. So I don't know what that means. It's 2-2.
Okay, let's look up Anthony Elanga Adrenaline XL. And let's get on it.
Let's get cooking.
My any other business to say, we had a big pull in the shop yesterday or 2 days ago.
Use your market moving ability to pump your pull, Jason. Do you see you got an abusive comment about that as well?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't read that. I almost responded to him, but then I said no.
Do you know what's happening here?
We're getting too big for our boots, or the hobby's growing.
I think people are sick and tired of us. I think we're getting a bit of pushback. I think a lot of people think we've been talking shit for too long, and now it's
I think if you hit 8 to 10k card, if you hit something that's the equivalent of a PSA 9, PSA 10, Mega Cracks Yamal in shop, you're allowed to put up a photo smiling with it. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. But obviously, that's not.
You're wrong.
Yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong.
You know what it is, Jason? It's years of you flip flopping with your baseball hats, and now people are coming.
Yeah, I think they finally decided they had enough. Yeah. Well. Okay. Shocking stuff. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Feel free to leave your comments below on all of the things we got wrong this time around, or anything from last year is still perfectly legitimate. We'll see you next week. Enzo, I'll see you tomorrow in store at Atlantic Collectibles.
Heyo.
All right. Happy Patrick's Day again.